They literally broke out of their freeze and they went at it, man.
Mm-hmm.
All 6 of them at the same time pulled out their rifles and they blasted 2 of these things, right? And these guys, again, they were expert horsemen, expert, marksmen. They instantly killed 2 of them. They instantly killed. And about the time they killed 2 of them, the other 23 guys broke through the tree line, right? And so the last Bigfoot, seeing that he was, already wounded, he was, it didn't say if he was the biggest or not, but they were all this big, right? He tried to run and get away. But the youngest Choctaw warrior, Robert Tubby, I think it was his name.
Yeah, it was one of Tubby's sons. Yep.
Robert Tubby ran him down, leaped off his horse, and did like a Macho Man Randy Savage, tackled this thing to the ground.
Full on Geronimo.
Yeah, it tackled him to the ground, pulled out his knife, and turned him into a turkey dinner. He went hands on with this thing, right? He was the youngest, bro. You know what I'm saying? 18, and he was the youngest. Yeah, and so literally the Tubbies basically killed all 3 of them. I mean, LaFleur was in the fight, right? But like these
Not for very long.
Yeah, not for very long, man. But he went out like a legend, man. That's some Wild Earp, that's some Doc Holliday stuff right there, man. He went out like a legend, dude. And this incident was over. It was over in a flash, right? It was over. And again, just like most history, it's stranger than fiction, better than what our real history is taught, and it's over way too quick, right? And it's just like, and it has it just ended, right? They killed them quickly. And after the shock wore, this isn't the end of the story, but after the shock wore down, these the other Choctaw warriors were so upset by what they saw, they started vomiting. A lot of them got sick. The smell was terrible or whatever. They were in disbelief what they saw. And they had to go about the task of actually, properly burying their people. Like, these were their people, you know what I'm saying? And so they buried the bodies, and they actually burned the 3 Bigfoots, what they called them to be Bigfoots, giant hairy men. They burned them. And so that right there in itself, I don't know if I can call this a war. You know what I'm saying? That's just how my mind works, right? Like Steve, would you call this a war?
I kind of had the same idea. It felt like the siege of Enigma was more of a war than this was.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure.
But maybe the battle of the Bigfoots is probably a little more appropriate. But still, regardless, it was it's an intense story there.
Well, it's an intense story, and like I said, and there's a couple more follow-ups I had with it when it came on here, Rand. But these boys went into battle with rifles, spears, tomahawks, knives, just typical. I mean, considered advanced weaponry at the time, right? You know what I'm saying? They were cutting their living out in the wilds out there, so they knew how to handle these things. They were expert horsemen. 30 of them went in there, right? And again, as you know, how Native American lore is passed down, it's by word of mouth. But however, Joshua LaFleur was also a citizen of this county, McCurtain County, right? So they told the story, and it didn't say if there were other townspeople mixed in with these. It just said 30 warriors, right? But it was written about and reported and documented. And it was to the point that he was actually considered a hero of this situation. And they actually ended up changing the county name to LaFleur County, right? And so fast forward so how the story ends, Enigmites, is that basically the Choctaw pulled back from this area, and these Bigfoots actually pulled back from this area as well. And it stopped the raiding that was going on, or at least it wasn't reported anymore what was going on.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.